So, it's March? When did that happen? My name's Zoe, my brain's a dragon, and I completely missed the fact that it was March, which is slightly problematic because that means it's nearly Camp April, which means that I should really be planning what in the name of all things I'm supposed to be working on. Thankfully, we had a chat about that at the end of last year, so I know my Camp April project, but that was literally all I did about it, was assign the project and then move on as if somehow some other Zoe, some magical Zoe who I have never yet met, was going to do the planning for me. It's a really good thing we had a system for this, right? Given that I had very little idea what I actually was doing when it came to the story for Violetta, our book 2 in the Sewing Circle set, I decided that the best thing to do was throw myself straight in to my 4-phase planning thing and see where I got up to before I started to feel a bit uncomfortable. Given I had very little idea what I was doing, that came much sooner than I thought. But we are going to use that to our advantage this time. I went through the first phase, which is pretty much the idea collection phase for me, because I tend to work that way, and was able to use most of the details, thankfully, from Felicity, which also meant that I knew vaguely when the story was happening and where we were going with it, and that was brilliant. The other thing that I was able to do at that point was sit down and think about what sort of story I was after. A ridiculous romance, because when is that not hilariously fun? Violetta is going to get herself into a little bit of a pickle in that she is going to try and be very good, but also there are things afoot and she is going to have the "but I could fix it" considering that everybody else is really busy with the house party. My reasoning for this is that I need her to do something fun, and she was a little bit of a background character in the first book, so I kind of want to be able to bring her forward because her romantic lead is Lawrence's best friend Gerard. Because it's the best friend, it means that we have a line of continuity with bringing a character that is already quite forward in the story into the spotlight as a protagonist in the second book. And it also means we get to bring one of the side characters to the front, which allows us to really play with the relationships and the dynamics between the characters we've already established and a character that we'd vaguely touched on. I managed to get through the first phase without too much trouble, including the story skeleton from Jim Butcher, which I was pretty pleased with. And it goes something along the lines of this. When Gossip threatens to ruin the house party her friend Winifred is throwing, Violetta decides that she is the perfect person to find out exactly what's happening and put a stop to it. Can she succeed when the Gossip turns from frivolous to pointed, and pointed at the handsome, aloof young man acting as Winifred's escort? And the only evidence she can produce to protect her friend could put her own reputation at risk. Sometimes what's right and what's proper are two very different things. I then took that and the various other pieces and started to have a look at the phase 2, which was fine right up until I hit the rock your plot beats. We all know that I love rock your plot. I think it's a fantastic piece of story structure and I really enjoy it. But I had got stuck using it the last time we did, so I thought that now might be a really good time to try and figure out something else that might be able to go into this spot, or that may be able to add some modifiers to this so that I can actually get some really good planning done that makes it easy to go into a draft or a nano, because nanos are fun. I was a little stuck for a little bit there because there's only so many writing books that I have on my shelf or in my hard drive, and then I remembered I got some of the NaNoWriMo bundles that were around last year, and also a couple of other ones that cropped up after Nano, because there's a writing bundle and there's books in it, and I hoard all the books because all the books in those books were some prepare your novel in 30 days, and that's kind of what we're trying to do. Now, I know that I don't actually have 30 days left in March. I also know that I don't have 30 writing days in March because that whole only 2 or 3 days a week thing, that's still up in play. But what I do have is full days. So while I can't do a small consistent effort over multiple days, I can binge, which is probably not the correct way to do it, but you know what? It's fine. We do nano. It's not like we try and set ridiculous goals for ourselves and then throw ourselves over them, hoping to land on the other side with any kind of grace. Full disclosure, there's very little grace after a nano. It's fine, there is lots of tea, and that makes up for a lot. So what I'm going to do is have a look at some of those books and run through the first one that I lay my hands on and see if I can make the outlining that they use, or the structure, or the brainstorming or that I have no idea what it is, but we'll find out, work for me and Violetta's book. It could go well. It could go badly. We could have to end up doing a last minute complete, oh my goodness, it's like nearly the 1st of April and we're gonna have to have a panic and just like throw ourselves entirely into the 4 flavors plan with all of the flails, all of the tea, all of the biscuits, all of the oh dear God please cries, help me, help me, help me, help me, that usually comes with that kind of effort. But I'm really actually looking forward to getting stuck into some new writing texts and seeing if there aren't any handy bits and pieces that I can add to the toolbox and share with you. So maybe you will have less of a panic than I am probably going to have this month. That means I should probably go and put the kettle on because I'm going to need some tea so that we can plan the adventures and hopefully have a story that makes some kind of sense in an outline before we hit Camp April and the absolute fun and shenanigans that is a Nano month. Bye, lovely!